Good morning, committee. So we are going to start with Senate Bill 170, and if Commissioner Quarles, Joe Milby, Senator Hornback wants to come forward. And so this meeting, guys, we're going to be on a really tight schedule, and so I'm going to ask that we make our comments short. We stay on like 15 minutes because there is people to sign up to speak in opposition to this, and if those who have signed up to speak in opposition, I know you're going to be limited to about 10 or 15 minutes as well. And so if you all want to decide who wants to come to the table to try to keep our comments short, we're going to take a vote at 11:35 sharp. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll let my guests introduce themselves for the record.
Ryan Quarles, Commissioner of Agriculture.
Joe Bilby, General Counsel.
Mr. Chairman, I bring to you Senate Bill 170 today because we're talking about a product that back in 2014 when I did Senate Bill 50 and also in 2018 when they did the Farm Bill, we were all very aware of the different cannabinoids. There were numerous cannabinoids within hemp and different ways to use them, different ways to extract them. We weren't always aware of what those uses and those extraction methods would be. And with Delta 8, I'm very concerned about public safety, about our children's safety, with the way this product is presently being sold and marketed and extracted. And to give more detail of that, I'm going to turn it over to the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning. I hope you enjoyed the Kentucky Proud Breakfast this morning for those that attended. Today, hemp brings us back together, and I'm just going to give you a brief history, then hand it over to Joe Bilby for some technical discussion. You know, back in 2013, Senator Hornback and you all passed Senate Bill 50 that really laid the framework for Kentucky that if the federal government gave us permission to bring back this crop that is really connected to our state's history. Back then, I was a legislator like you, and the people that were there to help advocate and get this passed came before this august body and said, this is about hemp production and not intoxicating substances. Then in 2017, Senate Bill 218 was passed. Senator Thayer was a sponsor. It overhauled our state statutes to be compliant with the 2014 Farm Bill, and it created a framework here in Kentucky that was replicated across the country by dozens of states. And again, back in 2017, not a word was said about hemp being about intoxicating substances. Then in 2018, the federal government passed the 2018 Farm Bill. I was in the White House. Then both the Trump White House and the Trump U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, and now the Biden White House, and now the Biden U.S. Secretary of Agriculture have endorsed the current framework and regulatory aspects of hemp nationwide. And so to get to the point, now in 2022, we find ourselves in a dispute about a substance, an intoxicating substance that did not exist in 2013 with Senate Bill 50, that did not exist in 2017 with Senate Bill 218, or in 2018 with the 2018 Farm Bill, a substance called Delta 8. And just to give you perspective on this, even recreational drug states like Colorado and Massachusetts have banned this substance in their states. And at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Joe Bilby for a technical discussion about exactly what Delta 8 is and is not.
Thank you, Commissioner. In your packets, committee members, there's a printout of a document put out last September by the FDA. It's titled 5 Things to Know About Delta 8 THC. It's as good a primer as you'll find anywhere about what this stuff is. The 5 key points, and I'll read them aloud for those who don't have a copy of the packets or the slides. I'll just read it aloud real quick because it's as succinct as I can make it. Point number 1, Delta 8 THC products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for safe use and may be marketed in ways that put the public health at risk. Number 2, the FDA has received adverse event reports involving Delta 8 THC products. Number 3, it has psychoactive and intoxicating effects, unlike CBD. 4, it often involves the use of potentially harmful chemicals to create concentrations of Delta 8 that do not appear anywhere in nature. And lastly, that these products must be kept out of the reach of children and pets, because when consumed by children, they can lead to devastating medical consequences. I know, Mr. Chairman, that we've been told to keep it brief, so I'm going to skip through some of the program highlights, but suffice it to say, those of you who have been following hemp for years know that there was a rapid buildup in hemp production between 2015 and 2019. In 2019, Kentuckians grew more than 25,000 acres of hemp. If you were to assume that 1 out of 10 Americans consumed a CBD product on a daily basis, which is a bold assumption, Kentucky alone would have grown all the hemp that is necessary to meet that national demand just in 2019. Of course, that was far too much hemp for the market, and as a result, we've seen an overhang or a glut in the marketplace where farmers who grew hemp for the purpose of CBD have found themselves unable to find a buyer. And because those farmers find themselves in that bad situation, they're interested in opportunities to market other cannabinoids, other things that might be derived from that hemp that's hanging in their barn. So that's kind of a background on the legalities of it. The definition of hemp is a legal one. It's not a biological one. It was first created in Congress back in 2014, and at that point it was pretty simple. Congress defined hemp as any part of the plant, whether growing or not, with a delta-9 THC concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. The reason that delta-9 THC was the focus is that delta-9 is the primary psychoactive ingredient or component that appears in the cannabis plant. Congress was trying to draw a line to ensure that legal hemp would never have THC concentrations sufficiently dense to cause a psychoactive or intoxicating effect. That definition from 2014, however, did not specifically address one way or the other whether those chemical compounds within the plant are in fact legal hemp or not. That was, as some would put it, a gray area between 2014 and 2018. This General Assembly recognized that for it to make sense to have a working hemp program in Kentucky, federal law and state law must have the same definition of hemp. You couldn't have one definition in the state and a second definition in the federal law. So this body adopted the identical verbiage from the congressional bill back in 2017. At the same time in 2017, the General Assembly enacted Senate Bill 218's provisions, which made clear that CBD, which again is a non-intoxicating cannabinoid, is legal under state law, and thereby provided a safe haven for those entrepreneurs and farmers who were interested in developing CBD production. Those carve-outs still appear today in state law's definition of marijuana. Well, in 2018 Farm Bill, the Congress decided to resolve the ambiguity, clear up that so-called gray area, by making clear that derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, salts, and salts of isomers are also considered hemp and therefore legal under federal law. The very next year, this legislature adopted that same modernized definition in order to maintain that congruence between state law and federal law at the top level. The legal dispute that brings us here today zeroes in on two words in particular within that updated definition of hemp: derivatives and extracts. Congress did not provide a definition for what those terms mean, so there's some room for reasonable doubt as to whether or not a substance that is extracted from the plant and then in a laboratory setting transformed into something different through a chemical conversion, is that still an extract? Is that still a derivative? That's a contested area and has been for a couple of years now. In early 2021, about a year ago, our Department of Agriculture began to receive phone calls from our licensees. These are folks who are licensed to grow hemp, or in most cases to process hemp here in Kentucky. These licensees were asking a question: is delta-8 THC legal to produce and sell in Kentucky or not? The reason that some of them were asking is that they'd been approached by vendors, whether in-state or out-of-state, who wanted to take some of that unused hemp that had been grown for CBD purposes and do a chemical conversion process in a lab that would turn it from non-intoxicating CBD into intoxicating delta-8 THC. And they wanted to know, is this stuff legal or not? So we received these inquiries and we talked about it internally and realized that the situation was not crystal clear, but we felt obligated to do our level best to answer that question. We get questions all the time from hemp program participants about what the law is. And one of the hallmarks of our program has been that we're willing to answer questions even when they're difficult ones, doing our best to eliminate the uncertainty and ambiguity that any entrepreneur faces when going into this new legal space. So on April 19th of last year, I issued a letter to our population of licensees, both growers and processors, opining that delta-8 THC remains illegal under federal law and state law. In the slide deck that you have before you, you can see the 5-step analysis that I went through. Though I recognize, Mr. Chairman, you've asked us to be brief, and I'm going to do my best not to labor the separate paragraphs of that letter. But the key point, again, is whether or not derivatives and extracts includes a substance, a chemical substance that was taken out of the plant and then in a laboratory setting turned into something different. It's true that delta-8 THC does occur in very small trace amounts in the plant. According to one expert, they appear in less than 2% of hemp plants, and the concentration levels is less than 2% of 1%. So it's a tiny shadow of the amount of delta-9 THC that's naturally occurring in the plant. Every CBD product on the market today is synthetically created. There is no product you can buy today that is exclusively extracted from the hemp plant. And according to one expert, to generate 1 kilogram of all natural derived THC, a delta-8 THC, would cost $500 million per kilo. Of course, that's prohibitively expensive. So I want to say with certainty that we know that all the products that are on the market today are synthetic in nature. Recognize we're right out of time. I will say that there was a lawsuit filed against the department, I believe in July of last year. It was brought by 3 plaintiffs, including a group that is an association of hemp-related industries. They filed in Boone Circuit Court against both the Kentucky Department of Agriculture and the Kentucky State Police. And their contention was that those 2 agencies had misinterpreted both federal and state law, and that the Congress and the General Assembly, by adopting that language in the definition of hemp, had, whether it intended to or not, legalized delta-8 THC and other intoxicating cannabinoids, including intoxicating cannabinoids that were created in a laboratory, having forced that chemical conversion. Now, we disagree with that, and so did our friends at the Kentucky State Police. We've litigated that lawsuit in the Boone Circuit Court up to this point. And just last night, there was a ruling from the judge granting a temporary injunction against the Department of Agriculture and against the Department of State Police, preventing those 2 agencies from taking any action against an individual who was making delta-8 THC products, so long as those delta-8 THC products didn't have a delta-9 concentration of 0.9. Now, we respectfully disagree with the court's opinion. That litigation continues to go on. But I do want to read out loud a couple of key excerpts from the judge's opinion, which again came out just last night, to give you a sense for what the court's reasoning is and the challenge that we believe lies before this body. On page 10 of the opinion, and there's a copy in all of your folders, the judge writes, "As the evidence shows, the extraction of derivatives and the isolation of isomers involve chemical processes. However, the statute exempts all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, so long as it contains less than 3% delta-9 THC on a dry weight basis." Then the court writes, "The court agrees with Commissioner Quarles that it is not the province of this court to establish policy or to make, change, or repeal law. That is solely the role of the legislative branch. Courts adjudicate based upon the law. Thus, if only natural hemp, unadulterated by any chemical, is worthy of exemption, then Congress and the General Assembly could have made their statutes say so. They did not. Likewise, if the extraction or production of derivatives using non-hemp solvents should have remained a controlled substance, then the legislators could have by statute said so. They did not. Nor did the legislative body choose to limit delta-8 concentrations as it did with delta-9 THC. Again, they could have, but did not. Courts cannot question the wisdom or policy of the General Assembly, but rather must follow the plain provisions of its enactment. So the reasoning of the court is that that definition adopted by the Congress in 2018 and by this body in 2019 has the effect of legalizing intoxicating substances synthetically created from CBD. We believe that Senate Bill 170 would resolve this ambiguity and answer the question once and for all, that it remains the policy of the General Assembly and therefore of the Commonwealth that intoxicating substances are not legal for distribution or manufacture in Kentucky. And I'll stop there, sir, to yield to any questions that members of the committee may have.
We do have a few questions. Senator Thayer at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe, which Boone Circuit judge? Was it Judge Brueggemann who ruled last night?
Yes, sir, it was.
Interesting. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions from any of the members? All right, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess this question is really probably for Joe more than anybody else. Is this bill just aiming to plug a hole in the law? Is this a situation where delta-8 didn't exist in these applicable terms when Congress and the state legislature passed bills on that involved and dealt with Delta 9?
Yeah, the main point of this bill, sir, is to resolve and sweep aside any ambiguity and make clear that as a matter of state law, from this point forward, intoxicating substances like Delta-8 THC remain prohibited in the Commonwealth. Now, I want to make one point else. I don't want to leave unsaid the fact that the bill would also prohibit the distribution of certain categories of products like joints, chewable hemp products, other smokables that by regulation the department has treated as prohibited for years. And we figure this is an opportunity for the policy-making body of the Commonwealth, the legislature, to adopt that as a matter of statute as well. I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Can I have a follow-up question
well.
too? So is it safe to say that this is kind of just part of an evolutionary process in a new industry where we're going to continue to see things that come out of hemp and hemp development, and we have to address these as they come up? Is that a fair?
I would say yes.
So
Yes, sir.
that's just this is just our next step, so to speak.
And I wish I could tell you this is the last year you're going to hear from the Department of Agriculture about
You could
needs
tell us that
for reforms to legislation, but that would be an untrue statement.
And Congress hasn't dealt with Delta 8 yet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, the
Yep, go ahead.
DEA has spoken. The DEA considers Delta-8 a controlled substance.
Well, thank you all for your presentation. At this time, if Katie Moyer and any other guests that would like to speak want to make their way to the table, announce themselves for the record. If you guys can keep it to about 8 minutes, that'll allow members to ask questions at the end of yours, and then we're going to try to have a vote at 11:35.
That'll be just fine. I think I can keep it shorter than that. So, right. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to speak today in opposition to Senate Bill 170. My name's Katie Moyer. I was recently elected as president of the Kentucky Hemp Association. So Senate Bill 170 would ban the sale of Delta-8 products here in Kentucky. And for everyone else in the committee, Delta-8 is a naturally occurring compound within the cannabis plant. Delta-8 THC is derived from CBD, which is extracted from naturally grown hemp plants. Currently, Delta-8 is a legal product sold here in Kentucky, and its legality is recognized by the United States Drug Enforcement Agency, also known as the DEA. You should have a copy of a letter from the DEA in your packet, and that letter will show in their own words, with their own letterhead and signature, that the DEA does recognize only Delta-9 THC is on the list of controlled substances. We've also provided the LRC with a copy of a letter written to the Alabama Board of Pharmacy, which states that Delta-8 has been removed from the Controlled Substance Act by the passage of the Federal Ag Improvement Act of 2018, the 2018 Farm Bill. It's also in your packet. So why are we here? In April 2021, the Kentucky Hemp Association was notified with a legal opinion from Department of Agriculture's Joe Bilby that Delta-8 is a controlled substance and that it was illegal under federal law. I've already stated that federal law recognizes just the opposite, and it states that it is legal under current federal law. I repeat, it is legal under current federal law. The Kentucky statutes state that the state's hemp policy is to promote the expansion of the Commonwealth's hemp industry to the maximum extent permitted under federal law. So right now, hundreds of farmers, processors, and retailers have relied on this policy and invested major money into this industry. So with the KDA's legal opinion in hand, the Kentucky State Police conducted several raids on retail establishments that sell legal hemp and CBD products. KSP also confiscated products containing Delta-8 THC from merchants who have lost tens of thousands of dollars or more. The KDA didn't agree with the Kentucky Hemp Association on our position, which is not a problem, but we were kind of backed into a wall. So we were forced to file suit against them on July 16th, 2021. I want to point out a couple of things that came out in depositions for the court case. KDA spoke of Delta-8 being manufactured in similar ways to methamphetamine using battery acid and things like that, but they weren't able to substantiate those claims with any scientific evidence. And like I mentioned before, the DEA issued a letter on September 15th, 2021, stating that Delta 8 was excluded from the Controlled Substance Act, but KDA still held their position. As of yesterday, as General Counsel mentioned, the Boone Circuit Court entered a temporary injunction siding with our association on this issue. So we have always wanted to be proactive as a trade association. I've testified in this committee before on multiple hemp issues, along with KDA and other departments. So we came to Frankfurt last week. We met with Chairman Hornback last Thursday, February 24th. In those discussions, we stated that this bill is premature because the lawsuit's still going on. Furthermore, we also stated that we would prefer to see certain measures be taken to regulate these products, as opposed to just an outright ban, harming farmers and processors and, quite frankly, losing a lot of jobs. We agreed to the following things. No person under the age of 21 would be allowed to purchase any product containing Delta 8. All products containing Delta 8 would be sold behind the counter, away from the normal display shelves. And all products containing Delta 8 would also carry a certificate of analysis on all packaging to ensure that the proper authorities, as well as the consumers, can clearly see all the ingredients in the product. We worked with LRC staff to make these changes on Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, we were notified that Chairman Hornback decided to run the bill as is without using our language, and that thus a statewide ban on all Delta 8 products would occur if this bill passes and gets signed by the governor. So obviously this would hurt hundreds of retail stores, maybe thousands of retail stores that sell this legal product, and it would also crush rural farmers that continually try to find a market for their legally grown product, Kentucky hemp. Once again, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the bill.
Katie, thank you for your presentation, and we do have a question. Senator Hornback.
Just a comment, and I did meet with Katie and several of her group last week, and I will tell the members that when I look at this product and the recommendations you all have, which I agree with, and I told you, and I'm a farmer, and I want to see the farmers be able to raise and sell as much of this product as they can. But it gets into the fact that it's can be an hallucinogenic product that can have serious health consequences because of the residual amount of the chemicals that are used in the process, and that we've had kids that have been going to the hospital, to the doctors, and had serious problems because of this. And this gets more with the hallucinogenic properties that this product can have in Delta 8. Like I told you all when I called you back and said I was going to run the bill like I had it, we're talking about medical marijuana. And I told all of you all that that was a different conversation for a different time, and that's never what hemp was intended to be. Never was it intended when I did Senate Bill 50 or when Congress did the Farm Bill to be an hallucinogenic product. Thank you.
Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick questions. One, is this product made like meth is made? Do you use battery acid in the process?
No, absolutely not. Now, China, other places, we really don't have regulations on how they can make it, and quite frankly, people can make anything in their bathtubs. But that's one of the reasons why we want to have a regulatory framework on this, so that we can show the certificate of analysis that shows trace chemicals, anything left over. We do that anyway. We do that for hemp plants. We do it for the products. So we want to be able to show that these are clean products that came from Kentucky farms, and that that customers and especially law enforcement knows exactly what's being sold.
You're not regulated in any form in how you produce this material at this point, though.
Currently, we're not. Now, we have some standards that are going to be just the same across the industry. So we have food, health, and safety standards that we have to meet. Many of us are FDA approved. Some of the laboratories that work within the hemp industry are also DEA registered labs. So we do have regulations that maintain safety standards, but nothing specific to Delta 8 currently.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Jonathan, do you want to say a few words?
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm John Knarborg, and my business partner, Alan Huang. We own Shine Labs and GenRev Industries in Franklin, Kentucky. A little bit about our background. Alan founded iPower, a gardening supply company that's currently traded on the NASDAQ and does over 120 million in sales. I'm born and raised in Iowa. I founded a lot of tech companies in Los Angeles and got into the hemp industry in 2017. In 2019, we saw the growth of the hemp industry and understood moving closer to the supply was key to scaling to an industrial size. We chose Kentucky because of its long history with hemp and its business-friendly environment. Currently, we own the largest hemp extraction facility, Shine Labs. We extract between 10 to 15,000 pounds of hemp per day. We take it from the plant all the way down to pharmaceutical-grade CBD powder. Over the last 2 years, we've extracted more than 5 million pounds of hemp and work with more than 100 Kentucky farmers, and 90% of the hemp we extract comes from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. As many of you know, the hemp industry has had its growing pains, and all through the pandemic, we've still been able to keep running 7 days a week. Our other business is GenRev Industries, where we formulate, fill, and package hemp-derived products. Last year, these two companies did over 25 million in revenue, and this year we're on track for record growth. Currently, our products are sold in more than 2,000 stores nationwide, with at least 150 of those stores in Kentucky. Combined, our businesses employ 150 people, with 70% of them being female and 40% minorities. The vast majority of our staff are recent college graduates, mostly from Western Kentucky University. These young individuals are ambitious, interested in working in new, exciting, emerging industries such as hemp, and want to work in a startup environment. We are proud to call Kentucky our home, and we have cultivated an amazing team with a family-like company culture. We even have 7 employees who are all related. Not only do we provide jobs, but we work hard alongside our staff and try to mentor and grow them as individuals. From giving them real-world advice on why a credit score is important, to helping them buy their first homes, counseling them with family issues, and even advice on starting their own businesses. We believe keeping young talent in Kentucky is instrumental to the growth and innovation in the Commonwealth. This ban would force us to move our operations south to Tennessee and rob these young folks of their opportunity to work in Kentucky in this new flourishing fields of hemp, CBD, and Delta-8. We fully support age restrictions, testing regulations, labeling requirements for our industry. We currently go above and beyond our regulatory requirements by using proprietary software program that our team has developed. We can provide from any product that our company produces, we can track it all the way back to which hemp field it came from in the state of Kentucky. This ban would be catastrophic to the Kentucky hemp farmer, the hemp industry, small businesses, and the young workforce. Thank you.
Okay, so we're getting close to have to take a vote. I'm gonna make a comment here real quick. You know, as a farmer myself, and being from the part of the state where there's a lot of hemp grown, Paul Glover is in my district and a very respected friend of mine, and I believe one of the best hemp growers in the state of Kentucky, as long as he's been in it, and he does a wonderful job, and I've been very supportive of them for a long, long time. But as we study this, I do have some concerns with the Delta-8 and would want to be educated a little bit more into these things as we move this process forward. But in no shape, form, or fashion do I think anybody on this committee is trying to hurt small businesses or the Kentucky hemp farmer out there right now. Do we have a motion on the bill? Oh, we have a motion on the bill by Senator Thayer. Do we have a second?
Gibbons has a quick question.
Oh, let me get the motion in a second, and then I'll call on you. Who was the second? Second by Senator Hornback. At this time, Senator Gibbons has a question.
Chairman, thank you. And I want to briefly comment on John and Alan, their investment in the Commonwealth, and how much we appreciate the risk they're taking and the endeavor that they've launched. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world. Thank you for choosing Kentucky. Sincerely thank you. And don't close the door too quick. This is a tough issue for a lot of folks. We've got young people that we want to protect. We've got a product that we're still discovering and learning about, and we need to do all we can to keep the two of you and others like you invested in our state. So thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time we have a Motion on the bill and a second. Ms. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Senator Carpenter, Senator Castlin,
I'll explain my aye vote. Again, like I said a minute ago, I have the utmost respect for the hemp industry and what you all do, and echo Senator Givens' remarks of don't close the door and don't let this be the end of what you all are doing, and we appreciate all the work that you've done in this industry, and I know in my district it's a big thing as well. I vote aye.
Senator Givens, Senator Howell,
Aye.
Senator Parrott, Senator Thayer, Senator Webb, Senator West.
No.
Senator Westerfield, Senator Wise, and Chairman Hornback.
If I could explain my aye vote, Mr. Chairman. You know, I wish that Katie and Jonathan, I wish we'd gotten together before last Thursday. I think there was opportunity to get some things done. I still believe, like I said earlier, that hemp was never imagined when I drafted the first bill when Congress passed it. It was never imagined to be some type of intoxicating material. That was not the intent of it. And like I said, that was more of a talk about medical marijuana, but there are great benefits, like I told both of you all, to the product. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that, but the risk to the public and the way it's been done, and the Hemp Commission and others seeing that this could be a product with higher THC levels, so it was going to be intoxicating, that I wish you all had come to us first and said, we've developed this product, and it does have some qualities to it that are out of line with what the intent is of hemp and CBD, and we need to try to correct these, like selling it behind the counter. But the thought of me going up to a convenience store here in Frankfort and seeing that a 12-year-old could pick it up off a shelf and buy it and get high is not what we need to be doing. Thank you.
Motion passes with favorable consent.